Hey folks, Ken McArthur here, best-selling author of Impact, How to Get Noticed, Motivate Millions, and Make a Difference in a Noisy World. And I'm really excited because Kim Castle is with us today. I know that you're going to get a lot out of this call. If you would like to let other people know on social media about this call, you can just send them to kenmcarthur.com/open. This is our open call for the Impact Action Project. We've got a great project to help out people who are victims of human trafficking and human slavery, and that's a huge issue no matter where we live in the world, and I'm excited about what we're going to be able to do to raise funds and awareness for people who are suffering through that, and really to give a chance to highlight some of the solutions to some of those problems, people that are out there doing real good things in the world to help people like that. So we're talking about a lot of things today. Kim Castle was wonderful enough to give me free rein. Now she's probably trembling in her boots, wondering what I might ask. But it's the most volatile time in business the world has ever seen, yet it's the most powerful time to be an entrepreneur. That is, if you're willing to roll up your sleeves and bear who you really are. I really like that, bear who you really are, because basically we don't have any choice anymore but to be who we are, because people are going to find out one way or another. It's not any longer just about business. It's now personal, deeply personal. And my guest today knows a lot about that. For over 20 years, she and her partner, Vito Montoni, have worked alongside Fortune 500 companies like Disney, General Motors, Wolfgang Puck, as well as guiding small business owners to grow from idea to the Inc. 500 list. We'd all like to do that, probably. Together, they created Brand U, a revolutionary three-stage business building system, often dubbed the E-Myth for the new generation of business, to guide entrepreneurs to grow beyond the confusion of possibility to the power of extreme clarity, from idea, which is where we all start out, right, to brand, to market, to the Inc. 500 list. That's a nice path. Kim's an international magazine columnist, speaker, author, TV host. She's been featured in Yahoo Small Business, CNN Headline News, Fox Business News, and Inc. magazine, and many others. Her brand building advice has been featured in magazines and books around the world, including Uncensored Sales Strategies, published by Entrepreneur Press, Women Igniting Change, and upcoming The New Wealth Accelerators. She was nominated for the Los Angeles Business Journal's Woman Making a Difference Award, and we're all about making a difference here. She's also been an acclaimed actress, a writer, a TV host, a celebrity interviewer, and stand-up comedian, and that's given her a unique aptitude for connecting at the soul level. So whether or not you experience her in person or in the call or through her programs, you're left with the unshakable feeling that you can actually accomplish the business in your heart. And then she gives you the tools to do it to boot. So that's pretty good. In fact, if you listen all the way through this call, you receive a free program to get started on your own brand today. Please welcome me. Please join me in welcoming my guest today, Kim Castle. Hi, Kim. I can't read very well, but I can talk to you and enjoy you. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm honored to welcome you to the call. I'm honored to welcome everybody who's tuning into the call, and I'm honored to be welcomed into the call. So we got it covered all the way around.
Yeah, that's right. We're just going to have some fun here, and
yes.
You know, branding is a really interesting subject, and a lot of different perspectives on it. You've worked with Fortune 500 brands like Disney, General Motors, and Wolfgang Puck, and then you co-created Brand U for entrepreneurs, and you've got a background in entertainment. You've got lots of stuff. Can you share a little bit what caused you to walk away from the big business and big paychecks to work with startups and entrepreneurs and those types of people? Did I lose Kim? She just went offline. Let's see if we get her back. I know she was here a second ago. Hold on, folks, and we'll see if we can get Kim reconnected. Doo-doo.
Hello?
Hey, you're back.
Yeah, I lost your audio.
Oh, dear.
Okay.
So
I'm
you have no
still here.
idea what I asked you then.
No, so will you sign language it to me this time so
I'll
I can
try.
read it again. So
I was really asking, what caused you to walk away from big business and big paychecks to work with startups?
That's a great question. It's interesting because when I first started working with the big business on Madison Avenue, I felt like Darren Stevens in Bewitched. I was so excited, like I've got these big budgets to work with, these big brands, and I'm on Madison Avenue, like it's so like I've made it.
Yeah.
And what I started seeing was a disconnection between what the company stood for and connecting to the audience, to the market. And I started to see it was really a lot of smoke and mirrors, and it was a lot of ego. And not to say anything bad about creative directors, I'm now one of them myself. But there was a disconnection between a true connection to the audience. And I remember once, quite frankly, I was working with some project, and I was asking the team, like, why is Shaq holding the Snickers bar? And they go, well, it's Shaq. And I go, but why Shaq? What connection did it have to the Snickers?
Yeah.
And they go, well, it doesn't matter. People like Shaq. And I go, well, what happens when they don't like Shaq? Well, we'll find somebody new. And I go, but that's not really forging a deeper long-term relationship with the product and the messaging. And they said, oh, the consumer's fickle. And I go, I don't think so. You're creating a fickle consumer. Now this was, let's see, this was probably about 15 years ago. And I went, this is not the realm at which I wish to play with, because I could see it was short term. I knew that business couldn't last like that. And so I left to work with entrepreneurs who were still connected to the power of their business at the core level, even if they didn't have the wherewithal, the knowledge, the budgets to communicate it on a brand. I knew that if I could bring how to do that to the small business owners and show them how to communicate from that still connected place, that I'd be growing up the new businesses of tomorrow.
Small entrepreneurs are really connected, I think, with their customers and their wants and their needs, because they have to be. If they lose that connection, they're in big trouble. A lot of people today, have businesses, or they want to have their own business. What do you think is the biggest thing in the way of them accomplishing that?
Wow, there's so many. I would say understanding their impact, which is really apropos for this conversation and the project we're doing together, is, one of the biggest things that an entrepreneur has is their vision and their true understanding that their business can affect anything. One of the big pieces in the brand process that we go through is connecting their business to something bigger. And, it's interesting to be working with a realtor or, a dog walker who's just, in one sense, still just trying to get by, just trying to keep their doors open, kind of develop their own strength in their own business, and to realize that their business has a big impact on things, even if it's just them in their bunny slippers, if they connect the impact to their business. So I would say the biggest thing standing in their way is their realization that they do have an impact, whether it's on the zip code, in their country, or the world around them. It's just owning the power of their impact and connecting it to their brand.
Yeah, I talk a lot about that subject in that we all make an impact whether we want to or not. In our
Mm-hmm.
day-to-day lives, we touch thousands of people, if not millions of people, and we all make a difference whether we wish that were true or not. In a lot of
Yeah,
ways,
right.
I wish it wasn't true because then we could just do whatever we wanted. It wouldn't hurt anything or anybody, But
That
uh,
darn butterfly keeps flapping its wings.
yeah, exactly right. All of those ripple effects and all those little chain reactions just keep going. And you know what? We impact a lot of people. Let's talk
We
about
do.
brand for just a second because, so many people have different definitions of what a brand is. What is branding to you?
That's a good question, and there's so many layers to it in terms of the confusion.
Yeah.
When I turned my focus to entrepreneurs 10 years ago, even though I've been working with entrepreneurs for 20, part of that time was kind of like a spy in big business world.
Mm.
Um, 10 years ago, when I was starting to talk about brand, people would look at me, entrepreneurs would look at me like, I know I buy brands. I don't understand how I could be a brand. And I would literally have to wrestle a logo out of their hands going, that's not your brand. I
Yeah, right.
design logos, and I'm going to tell you that that's not your brand. It's bigger. Now it's gotten even more confusing because people get confused between branding. People use it in so many different words. Personal brand,
Yeah.
website is your brand, your name on a logo is a brand. Like what is it? So a couple of things. One, to help clear it up, a brand is a clear and concise communication of your product or your company, the value it stands for, and
Yeah.
the ongoing feeling that your customers consistently get from you.
That's an
So
interesting.
it's really the universe, that the world that you've created and that your customers connect with either through your marketing, through your products, through every touch point, when they call it, when they go to the website, when they see an advertise, all of it. It's all part of this incredible rich universe that you've defined. Now,
Hmm.
branding is the act of communicating the brand.
Yeah.
So branding is the act of putting your logo on a Frisbee or the side of a bus. Your brand determines should it be on a Frisbee or the side of a bus or a blimp.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Yeah, that's really interesting. And I love the way that you touch on all the different senses as you're describing that brand process, because it is really all of the different ways that we connect. And
Yeah, it's experiential.
yeah, a brand can have a smell to it. It can have a feel to it. A particular
Mm-hmm.
texture. It can have all of the different senses, and so can we. And in terms of the branding that we do for our organizations, our projects, I think that we can probably pull in a lot more than we do of the representation of the values that we stand for,
Yes.
the real value that we bring to the customer, and their experience is so key to that process, I think.
Absolutely. And from that point, Ken, people forget that they tend to think that the brand is the external pieces like the logo or the colors or the types of products or the associations, that kind of thing. But it all starts at that core, like you said, the values, the promise, the uniqueness. And in fact, when we begin with any client at the brand process, we actually pull down the blinds, and we're not even looking at the addressing the customer or the market. We've got to keep the power of the brand anchored at the core. So we get clear on that first before we even address name, tagline, because it's got to represent that core belief, that core promise.
Was there ever a moment that you really felt like people just don't get what you do? I mean,
Oh my God.
what do you do in those
Yeah.
kinds of circumstances?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I mean, because the brand is so pervasive. They feel it. It's kind of like, it's like sometimes trying to describe love or
Yeah.
air, because it's such an experience. And also the challenge is trying to describe what we do, the way that we do it, is because we don't put anything on somebody. we take them through a process so that the brand is in them. So very often the missing ingredient is them.
Yeah.
We're just the facilitators. We're just the process creators and pulling them through it. But we know our work is done when somebody gets to their brand and they go, oh, you didn't add anything to me. You chipped away all the stuff that didn't need to be there to reveal the brand that was always in there.
Yeah.
You know, and just gave the clarity of the communication. So yeah, there's many times when people don't quite get, they can feel it, but it's hard to put it into words. But I can tell you, I know the importance of it. I remember once I was speaking, you know, in the world of speaking, as we're both in, and a lot of people are in, and I was speaking after somebody, and this was a few years ago, talking about blogging, right? Blogging. And this woman, they stand in line to have me sign my book, and this woman starts, I could see her like being very fidgety in line, and she's getting in the line, moving closer, and by the time she gets up to me, she starts crying. She burst into tears. Her face turned red. Her blue eyes were all red, and she just couldn't contain it anymore. And she goes, Kim, I'm so confused. I don't know whether to brand or to blog.
Oh
Right? Oh
dear.
my God! And it's like, oh my God! How do you know what to blog about if you don't know what your brand is?
Yeah. So how do you go through that process of really discovering the core brand and what exists? I mean, we're working together, for instance, on the Impact project, which is a huge project, and trying to get the essence of exactly what that exists. Boy,
Right.
I can't even talk. The essence of what that project is, and
Yep.
it's so big and so complicated, and trying to simplify that down to just the core elements can be really, really tough. So where do you
Yep.
start with a client when they have huge dreams and huge projects and they're all over the place?
Right. Well, there's a couple different places that we start. One is we have to establish the universe that we're creating. So are we talking about one business, one brand? It's like building a building. Like let's say we're building a big building. So are we building one building or are we building a complex? So we have to start by almost like surveying the land. How big are we looking at?
Yeah.
Are we looking at 5 years? Are we looking for 10 years? Are we looking for 100 years? Like in China, what is the framework energetically? What are we creating? Then we dump all the ideas down going, okay, what are the different, is this media? Is there just products? Is it live events? Is it division? Like we have to look at that first. Then once we've got that clear, then we go, okay, from a brand standpoint, are we going to be branding at the perspective of the umbrella, the overarching companies that form all of this, or are we looking at one division? Or do we need to get to money quickly? So we're going to brand at the product level, the street level, get that out so that there's money coming in, and then grow the brand up. So with the Impact Project, it's very fascinating because are you branding is it more of a campaign for the year? So it's like more from a divisional level. Is this the division? Or are we branding the brand at the whole so that the same thing addresses and it's just, you know, year 2, year 3. So it's perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
The perspective and that's what makes it challenging with this project because it's so big. It's like, okay, where do we slice it? Where do we put the perspective in the ground?
Yeah, and that's really interesting because so many times people come to me with grand ideas, grand visions of how they're going to change the world, and I'm all for making the world a better place and grand visions and not thinking small, thinking big. But usually those kinds of things are built from one level up. In other words, get things working in one department, in one product or one project, and then move that to another one and another one, and brands grow, don't they, as they develop?
Yeah, but there's two things. Absolutely, they grow, and you do want to make something tangible before you think too big, or you could just expand it so much that it's just like air. It's just pure possibility, and it never gets made.
Yeah.
But there's two things that you've got to keep in mind. Yeah, you want a brand, so especially with an impact thing, that there's like with this project, there's a time it's time-based. We've got to do this here, and this has got to be put into the market. So you've got to slice it down small enough
Yeah.
with the awareness of where it can be. Otherwise, a lot of times people brand for the now, and they don't create a big enough brand for where they're heading, and they wonder why a year from now, 2 years from now, they have to they hit in the head on, on their own brand ceiling. So you have to have an awareness of where you want it to go, so that it's that messaging or that container is built into it now.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. And, that comes back to the overarching umbrella, like you called it. We do want to have the impact action team and the impact projects be ongoing for many, many years, hopefully. And eventually I'd love to turn that into the Impact Foundation that would actually help all kinds of organizations with their communications and getting their messages out to millions of people. So,
right.
So that's part of the thing.
Thought of it like a great example is the TV show Survivor.
Yeah.
Right. So it has its overarching brand, Survivor, the show.
Right.
But each year it says Malaysia or the Congo.
Exactly.
So something like that. So to me, I think that might be the right, the right approach, because this is something that you want it to live on.
Yeah.
You want it to take on. It's kind of like a movement that I think that might be a wonderful way to do it. So we're building that it is an ongoing. It's an ongoing movement, but the focus this year is, like you said, human trafficking or clean water, or whatever focus it is for the year.
Well, tell me something here. You shared that people are really starting to pay attention to the idea of a brand, but it's still confusing to a lot of people. How do you add this strategy to any business? So there are lots of different people on this webcast today, and they're listening. They've got a variety of different businesses. How do you apply this to lots of different businesses across the board?
Well, a brand is a brand is a brand. It's like location, location, location. It applies to any kind of business, whether it's small or large. It's the entry point at which somebody decides to come in. And the real law of the universe is, either you're expanding or contracting. Nothing ever stays the same. So it really depends on the point of expansion that a person comes in. So for me, I'm always who I am. I need context. I need to know. I don't know if it's just who I am, or as a woman, I need to know what I'm building. Like, where's this going to live in the world? So I always think it's good to start at the beginning, to brand when you've got that idea, to make it tangible, so that you don't have to hit your head or bump your head in the market going, oh, no, I say this is what it is. No, this is what, and try to figure out that you have to do market repair until you finally get clear. So to me, at the start of a business is vital to help you get that laser clarity of the uniqueness and how to communicate it so people get it in an instant, and in this day and age in the market, so that you know how to get in the room before you're in the room. It's vital, with our attention spans being 9 seconds now.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to cut through it. Now, granted, so we've worked with people who have been in their business 15 years, 20 years, who have, had kept their doors open that long, that go, you know what, it's now time to leverage what we're doing. I don't want to just get caught up in the day-to-day, like going and opening the door at 9 o'clock in the morning, like that kind of day in and day out. It's time to leverage their experience into a broader thing, or get incredibly clear on what it is. So it can happen at any stage of the business.
Let me turn the tables on you for just a second. You've got a brand, so tell me what your brand is. How would you describe your particular brand?
That's a great question, and it's a challenging question, to be quite honest for you. We did not realize, so when we named the product line, actually Brand You is a product line, not our company name.
Yeah.
We named it Brand You because we knew that it was really not about brand us, it was about the individual, and did not realize that we had built a challenge for ourselves in our own brand, because we would say, it's not brand us, it's brand you.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my gosh, it's like how do we get our brand out? It's like
Yeah.
we built our own hole, so to speak.
That's right. You're basically branding all your customers, and
We really
that's
are.
it.
So it's like the cobbler's shoulders have no shoes on steroids kind of thing. But we do have a brand in the market, and there is a great perception based off of 10 years of great results with our clients. Really, I would say our brand is about process. Our goal is it's not how creative or brilliant we are. While we're award-winning and we've won Webby's awards for General Motors, and we've really done incredible things with our entrepreneurial clients. But it's really, I would say our brand is really about really supporting small business and entrepreneurs. But the backbone of our country, it's really the backbone of the world. And it's not about our creativity. It's about the power that you have to stand strong at the center of your business and communicate that to the world, no matter how small you are. And that's really what we're about.
How does that feel? How does that feel to a client who's first coming to you? What's the process? You've talked a lot about process. What does it look and feel like? Let's just say that I knocked on your door today and I said, Kim, I'd really like to take the Impact brand through the roof, and I want you to grasp onto whatever value there is in me, and find a way to communicate that to the world. So what's the actual process that people go through when you're trying to work with them?
We've broken down, it's really about building the brand foundation. We've broken it down to 3 stages. Stage 1 is, as you said, idea, as you mentioned earlier, is it's like getting clear of the structure. What's the revenue model? And what's, it's not what's just possible, what is right for this business. For example, like from an impact business, you look at the One project, which was huge.
Yeah.
That Bono, I think Bono started, huge in terms of, now what was really right for them, it wasn't concerts. What was right for them was products, merchandise, partnering up with merchandise. You had to get very, very clear on what is the right distribution and revenue model. So that's where we start. If somebody just has an idea, they go, I believe, and it doesn't matter how many years they've been in business. You could be in business 25 years and finally get clear on the idea, right?
I'm still hopefully trying to get clear every day.
Right. So so it depends. If somebody says, I've got this idea, or I've got 100 ideas, and they're like hungry children, pulling at my sleeve, like I can't feed them enough, then we would start at the idea stage and structuring it.
Yep.
And then we go to brand. Somebody might just say, I'm pregnant. I got to get this out of me. I got to know what to call it. What's the name? What's the tagline? What is this thing that's like, in my belly? Get it out of me. Then we would go to the brand process, take them through the process, and then go, okay, now that we've given birth, we got to put it in a house. So we would go back to the plan. We've had clients that come to the brand process, which is stage 2, which is brand power, go through the brand, get so incredibly clear, go back to their business that they were in, break through $1 million and go, I am now bored. I hit the edge of that because I don't know where I'm going now. And then we would go back to Power Path brand, stage 1, develop their map, and then go back to brand power because from a bigger perspective.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Business is about growth. It's constantly evolving, and our processes are built with that in mind. It's not like it's an information product or it's trend-based, like, oh, this tactic is hot now.
Yeah.
It's a process that you'll constantly use as a structure to continue to grow. And then we move into market power once you've gotten the brand to extend your productization, your distribution, positioning, and messaging.
So let's talk a little bit about that process, and I'm guessing what you're really talking about now is the branding part of it, or the marketing part of your brand. So now that we have a clear vision about who we are, what the value is, and how that feels to the marketplace, how do you get that out?
Well, there's two levels to that. Once you get clear at the uniqueness core, we call that your brand statement. Once you get clear on the brand statement, I'll give you an example in the real world, like Starbucks.
Yep.
Starbucks had a mantra that they called third place. Third place, and you go, what, third place? Why don't you want to be first? They called it third place, and it wasn't something that they marketed. It wasn't in their marketing, but it was through and through everything. And basically they said, people have work, they have home, and then they'll have us. We will be third place. Now, they did it so well that it actually became work and home for some people. Right? But it was pervasive in terms of how they crafted the experience, why they would put free Wi-Fi, things like that, the decisions that they made. So that was one thing. So even at stage 2 at the brand, once you get the brand statement clear, then you start rolling it out through the name, the tagline, the experience, the brand touch points, things like that. From that standpoint, you move into what we would call stage 3 is a wheel, the marketing wheel of going, okay, ongoing products that are unique to your brand. The positioning, we see positioning is a spoked wheel, that the brand's in the center of the wheel, and wherever you point at the outer spoke is another target that you can reach. You've got to do one at a time. So it's understanding your products, the multitude of products, and the multitude of positioning into the marketplace.
Interesting. That's really, really fascinating, the way that you work with that in terms of going back through the different levels and and
it's people look at marketing and go, oh my God, it never ends. And, right? It
hopefully not, right?
Exactly. You don't ever want it to end, but the challenge is because people aren't standing on a power spot, they're constantly feeling like the marketing is running them, like it's like they're being spun as opposed to spinning the wheel.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to ask our audience members if they have questions. Go ahead and type them in or raise your hand. There's a little hand-raising button there if you want to have me open up your mic so that you can ask him a question. And I'm going to just kind of switch the topic to you for a change. And let me ask you, as a little girl, what were you known for?
I would say there's two. Well, I was weird, for one.
I love that.
I mean, it was no wonder that, like in high school, I would do Rocky Horror Picture Show in front of the movie theater. And I also had a mime troupe in high school. I was one of those kind of weirdos. As a little girl, I had two things. One, I had a profound appreciation of typeface, like press on type. I was one of those people that would, like, years and years ago, before we had computers, young ones, is that we had press on type, like graphics and design was all done what was called paste up. And I had sheets upon sheets of press on type, which it had letters that you could like rub off on the other side of the plastic in the letter. And I was fascinated with type, much like Steve Jobs was fascinated with type when he started the Apple. And I so resonated. I mean, I would hold on to a big sheet of paper if all there was a Q left on it. I would hold on to it. I was like, how do I use this Q? So it was a combination of that incredible passion for aesthetics and design, like I knew that made you feel. And then in combination with I always had this passion for people's potential.
Yeah.
People would say, God, Kim, I don't know what it is, but just talking to you, I feel like I can do anything. So I found, and I didn't understand that that was something I just did naturally. So it's no wonder that in my life today I've combined this love of aesthetics and understanding that it moves the hearts of humanity, and combining that with the human potential.
We share something in common because I used to love those rub-on type sheets.
You did?
I was great.
Like
yeah, exactly right. I did. I want to make something special out of this stuff. Old English Gothic or something like that.
In fact, when I worked in advertising, I was a fontaholic. I just called it myself. I was a fontaholic, where I would take these, I would travel with, well, years ago, right after big floppy 3x5s or whatever, we had SideQuest drives or Jazz drives, and I would go like shopping for fonts at every advertising agency that I worked at. It's like, oh my God, look at all these fonts.
I love that. Yeah, and I still do that. I still browse all of the font libraries and
Oh,
stuff like that. It's
cool.
great.
I had no idea.
I got a question for you. Cheryl Nicholson, one of our great Impact Action Team members, has a question. Can your
Wonderful.
brand be just 3 words? Mine is passion, power, results. That's how my clients think of me whenever they book anything with me. Am I on the right track with your thinking?
So when you say passion, power, results, that's what you're about. So that could be this, yeah, you're on the right direction. Remember, a brand is the clear and precise communication of your company, your product or service, the value you stand for, and the consistent feeling that your customers get from you. So when you say passion, power, results, that's the values, or that's on the right track. That's what they're going to get. So I would say that's the deliverable. When we address a brand, we go through 4 filters, and that's what we would call the tangible deliverable. That's one, the physical realm.
Mm-hmm.
What about your philosophy? What's your philosophy? What if somebody else is doing passion, power, and results? That's as a tangible deliverable. Why you? What's your philosophy? How do you do that? What are they really going to get once they've gotten that? For example, let's say let's put what you said, passion, power, results, as tangible as a bunch of bananas. Now, I could buy bananas anywhere. I could go to, I'm in LA, so I could go to Ralph's,
Yep.
or I could go to Whole Foods and still buy bananas. Why would I choose Ralph's over Whole Foods? So why would I choose your passion, power, and results over somebody else's?
Yeah.
So you're in the right direction. You've got the tangible, but I would want to know why you.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and I think the specific nature of it, is really crucial. If you have something that differentiates you from everything else in the world.
And the biggest thing is the biggest differential is your philosophy.
Easy to.
That is the mountain you stand on, and very often it's hard for people to, because they want to stand for everything or they want to help everybody, that it's hard to, or sometimes they take for granted their philosophy. It's like the blind spot they're standing on. That that is the thing you have to fly up the flagpole the largest, the loudest, that you have to proclaim it, because that's why you.
Yeah, exactly. Here's another question for you from Gary Henderson. Gary is asking, after you have your brand and are moving into marketing, what type of strategies do you recommend to get your brand recognized?
Oh, it depends on your brand. I mean, let's say you're, Richard Branson, and you may want to jump out of a plane, or for like Red Bull. For Red Bull, great example. This past fall when they sponsored that guy jumping off a satellite, whatever it was, which was
It wasn't quite a satellite. It was just way up there, right?
Okay, it was something. It was like I watched that little platform. I watched it on an iPhone in a restaurant. So, for example, it really depends on your brand's experience. So, for example, Red Bull, that was an incredible example of getting the brand out, because they had elevated from those Red Bull games, which are like these crazy, stunts, to like, oh my God, this is the pinnacle. Let's take it up a notch.
Yeah.
Let's sponsor the space program, so to speak, which
Always.
is a great way to bring back the space program from a privatized way. So let's say your brand is not like that. Let's say your brand is Middle America. Let's say it's about restoring the backbone of America, and you want to do a sponsored tour of taking a bus around, an RV to connect with small businesses, in the Southeast or the Northeast or across the country. Here's a brand marketing campaign. You said how to take it out.
Yeah.
It could just be in the community. Let's say you are a shoe repair company, right? And you could do a again, you're at the zip code level. You want to do a drive to help somebody across the globe, have shoes. You could do a bring your shoes in to get a repair, and we'll give a shoe to blah blah, like
Yeah.
Tom's, something like that. It really is specific to your brand.
It's really interesting. There's. I don't know if I'm let me see, so fond of his personal style, but when you're looking at a program like um, Kitchen Nightmares,
Oh,
kind of
Gordon.
yeah,
Gordon, he's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So when he goes into Gordon Ramsay goes into a restaurant that's just a total mess, and their brand has just been totally destroyed because all they stand for is bad food and
Right.
junky place. A lot of what he does, and you see it over and over again, is to go into the community, take the revised menu and what they're standing for now, and take it directly to the community. So we can all do that in what we do.
Although I have to say that there's a fatal flaw in what they do.
Yeah, what's that?
As much as I love the show, and you can see his devout care for
Yeah,
the helping them, and of course we don't see if they go through branding or get to the core of what they're about. It's a lot of very surface.
yeah.
I'm going to give you the menu. I'm going to change the
Oh,
face.
yeah. It
And
simplifies the menu, and then
but what's interesting is he doesn't really connect to the core of what is that business. He just puts his
replaces
opinion
it.
on it.
Yeah.
And if you I love Gordon. I met him. I've gone to Hell's Kitchen at taping. I think he's amazing. But there is a tragic flaw in that model. Is if you were to Google and find out how many of those restaurants that he goes
Oh,
in and
yeah.
changes, they're not lasting.
Yeah.
Even if they changed the menu, they made it prettier, they're not lasting. And it's because he put a face and a menu on them.
Yep.
That's why when we do brand, it's not about how creative I am.
Yep.
It's the powers in your brand. And if I leave you with that piece, it's please don't put your power in my menu.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, we don't all want to become you, that's for sure.
Exactly. It's not about my menu. It's about what's right for your business, what's right for your brand. I love you, Gordon, but if you brought me on, I would help you change that.
We'll have to call him up while we're in LA.
Totally.
All right. Here's a question from Dwan Sullivan. Is it best to brand yourself or your site? For instance, do I brand dumpmyjob.com or dwansullivan.com? Also, if you brand a name other than your personal name, is there a disconnect with the audience?
Oh, I love that question. I love it, especially nowadays. All right, and I'm going to probably fly in the face of what
Most people
dozens
say.
of people say, so take it with my menu, my grain of salt.
Yeah.
I would say don't think about personal brand. You are branding a business.
Mm.
So people say, oh, your personal brand, and people get this like identity complex, like I don't know, is this me or is this like, who am I today? Think about this. You're in business. You're branding a business. All right, first and foremost, you are branding a business. Depending on what's right for that business, we may lend it your personality.
Yeah.
We may lend it your name. But you have to know that there are some challenges when you do that, because let's say you brand it your name. Let's look at a Tony Robbins, and this was part of their challenge, and I've told them, is they branded it Tony Robbins, but when Tony Robbins wasn't on stage, they got upset.
Yeah.
They didn't build it with a true understanding of what they were really building. Now, if you are building a brand for a media play, which is what I would call a media play, meaning that you're branding because you want to step into a media outlet, you want a radio show, you see any media extension, magazine, TV shows, blah, 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 then, yeah, we may want to understand it. We still have to brand it with your name, knowing some of the challenges that are going to be put in place because of that. Mm-hmm. Now, this day and age, they do want to identify a person with a company because we don't want to, going back to what I said in the beginning of the call, there was no connection from the company to the products to the customers.
Yeah.
We still may have to put a face on it and give it that touchy-feely feeling, but it's more like, let's get clear on what the business is, and then we just determine what's the strategy of the name and the face, or the, think of the face as more like an endorsement, like an endorsement.
Sure, that sounds great.
I hope
Here's
that
a
answers the question.
what's that? Yeah.
I hope that answers the question.
Any other questions? Be sure and type them in right away because we're going to let Kim go here pretty soon. We're coming up on the hour. I do have a question for you, Kim. What's the thing that you love most about what you do today?
What do I love most? I love it all. I would say the thing that I love the most is seeing somebody step into the true power of what they're doing.
Yep.
I grew up on welfare. I grew up watching my mother, was very young when she had children, single mom, let life live her. We were on welfare. I saw how she let basically her spirit die,
Yeah.
being taken care of by a system which fostered nothing. My real passion and excitement and what I love is when people take command of their life, from the stability, the independence, and the full expression of what they're really doing on the planet. And when I can plug them back into that power source, it's just, they already got it. It's just, oh, you just came unplugged. That to me is the thing that I love the most, is seeing somebody so on fire with the true clarity of what they're doing, where they're heading, and the ability to express it so people get it. That's what I love.
Yeah, yeah. It's so powerful to be able to touch lives and really make a difference. I think that our legacy is always what we do in the lives of others. So it's powerful to be able to connect with people, to be able to tap into their true essence and their true brand, and to be able to help them express that to the world so that their ideas, products, and services actually can reach millions of people. I'm excited about spending time with you in Los Angeles at the Impact event. And if you folks aren't signed up yet, you should definitely get there now. You can go directly to theimpactevent.com and see all of the exciting stuff that we're doing together. We're going to show all of the different ways that you can get an idea, product, or service out to millions of people, be talking about doing things. We'll be learning from some great people there, including Kim Castle, the amazing Kim Castle. And in addition to that, we'll be doing a live, real-time case study where we will actually be building an audience of 50 million people over the weekend. We'll be coming up with the action plan to actually do that over the next 60 to 90 days. So I'm really excited about that. Tremendous people coming, just mind-boggling folks. Mike Koenigs is going to be there for sure, Pam Hendrickson. John Chow, one of the top bloggers in the world, is going to be there. James Malinchak, a very well-known speaker. We just had him down at JV Alert Live in San Diego. Great event. Lots of the people who heard of were at the JV Alert Live are coming up to the Impact event to join us because they're caught up in all of the excitement. They got so much power out of attending the live event that they just can't wait to be there, and I hope that you'll be one of those people. And we're doing exciting stuff with the Impact Action Team. There are still a couple openings for that. If you go to go to impactactionteam.com, you can actually get an application for that. And we're doing lots of exciting things coming up soon.
I'm excited to be a part of it, Ken, and I'm just honored to bring my 20 years and just who I am to it, because it's so connected to my heart. And then I'm also very excited to bring my partner, Vito.
Yeah, Vito's
who
amazing.
he's worked created products for Disney and Paramount and really big brands, and he big vision. Created the virtual Star Trek convention in 2002. So he really is a genius architect, and I'm really excited he was able to clear a schedule and also be a part of the team too.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we're bringing our marbles.
That's good. I love that. And I can't wait to spend time brainstorming with you and the Impact Action Team. We're actually doing a couple of sessions coming up on Monday and Tuesday, private sessions
Hmm.
with the Impact Action Team. That'll be exciting and fun. So looking forward to that. Everybody, definitely, if you can be in Los Angeles, on March the 15th through the 17th, come join us. Kim will be amazing, and it will be a pleasure to introduce you to her personally. And any last parting things that maybe I missed in the process here, questions I should have asked?
Oh, no, I think you were wonderful. I would probably just want to leave with the realization or this understanding as you think about your brand. Um, it's one thing to hear brand. It's another thing to actually own the power of it. So I just give you a little homework to start thinking about
Mm,
your brand, if
yep,
that's okay. I'm all
absolutely.
about rolling up our sleeves and let's getting to work. So yeah, I do hope you join us for the Impact event, and I'll be there the whole time. So just bring your questions. I mean, I just want you to use me as a resource. But until then, I want you to right now start thinking about the products that you buy without thinking.
Yeah.
Let's open our awareness to why do you buy the things that you buy. Be it toothpaste, be it coffee, be it whatever it is. And I want you to start to look at, almost if you could be the observer of going, oh, I'm reaching for this, and stop and go, why am I buying this? Am I buying this because I've always bought it? Is it patterning? Is it because my mother bought this? And start to answer the question, why are you buying the things that you buy? And then turn it to yourself. Like, to how do you create that so that people buy from you for the same reason?
Mm. That's a powerful question, and definitely something to think about. I hope the Impact Action Team members listening to this will put that into effect, and we'll see how they did their homework by the time they get to Monday's session. That'll be great.
Yep.
All
Yep.
right.
Cool.
Thanks so much, Kim, for being here. It was great
My
to
joy.
hear your refreshing voice and brilliant ideas, and I'm looking forward to more and more and more with you.
My absolute joy to be a part of the family now.
Well, thank you so much. Everybody have a great day. Go out there and do some good stuff, because that's how we make the world a better place. So have a great day, and we'll talk to you all soon. Thank you so much for being here.